Hi, I'm Kay of Kay's Creative Home. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you part 2 in our series on how to make a bow. Our bow today is the shoestring bow. Let's get started. In part 1 of our series, we covered the wing bow, and today we're going to do the shoestring bow. Now, as I shared before, many people say they can't or don't know how to make a bow. And I'm hoping by the end of this series, everyone can make at least one bow. If this is your first time joining us, I want to let you know that we're going to be making one bow in each episode, but I'm going to show you how to make it with different types of materials, different sizes, and hopefully if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments so I can answer them in future videos. So today we're working on our shoestring bow. So excuse this little mess I have here, but what we're going to do today is the shoestring bow. And I got all these different types of materials to make our bow with. So what I want to talk about first are the different ways you can make the shoestring bow. So you take two loops, make two loops on both sides. You start by making two loops on both sides. You've got a long ribbon in your hand. On one side you make a loop, and then you make a second loop, and you leave some at the bottom, and you leave some of your ends hanging loose to make your tails. So here you cross them over, cross one over the other, cross one over the other. Get those tails out the way so they don't confuse you. So I cross one over the other. I'm going to take the one that's on top, bring it under, and pull it through. If I can find it. So you make some adjustments, trying to pull it as tight. This is not the best ribbon to start with, but it's what we're going to work with. Make it as tight as you want it. And this is how it would look using this type of material. This is a silky gift wrap ribbon. So that's how it would look with that type of ribbon. Not necessarily crazy about it, but again, this is how it looks. Another way to make it is to make a loop with one hand. Now this is how I learned to tie my shoes. Take this free piece, bring it over, and now you've got a loop here. I'm holding this with the first finger and the third finger. I'm going to cross it over, and right where my third finger there's a loop. Right where my third finger is, there's a loop now. This third finger here. And I'm going to bend this through and pull it through. Now I have two loops. You can see starting to come together. Two loops and two tails. I'm going to hold my tails and pull my loops tightly to make my bow. As you pull the tails down, the loops get smaller. But you can see we basically have the same bow. Again, this is not the best material to work with, but I want you to see how it comes out the same no matter which method you use. Okay, so now we've seen those, let's work on some other materials and see how it works out. Here's a thin ribbon, again a quick Walmart brand, silky, slippery. We're going to start by making a loop here, a loop here. We got some string hanging down, it's very uneven, so I'm going to try again. Make make 2 loops and see if we can get about the same amount of tails hanging down on both sides. You can see that now. And then I'm going to cross one over the other and bring it over and through that center opening. And if you can grab both loops and both tails and pull on all 4 together, eventually it'll tighten up. Might take a minute, but it'll tighten up. Feels a little wonky at first, but it'll tighten up. So I actually squeezed it so tight that I lost. It actually kind of folded in half. Let me see if I can unfold it. So again, you can see this would be a difficult material to work with, but you can get a nice little tiny bow if you need one. There we go. So again, when you're making your bows, you got to shape them up. So I actually squeezed this one. Oops. So I got both my loops about the same size, and I can cut my tails, or with this type of ribbon, I'm pretty sure you know, this type of ribbon in the direction of the curl, if you just run your scissors over it, it curls. So if this was longer, you can see the curl is still going down, so you want to be under the curl. So you could do that. If you had a really long piece, it would make it really cute because you would really see a lot of curl on there. So I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit. All right. So that's what it looks like when you use this tiny little silky ribbon. It's really difficult to work with. So if you've gotten frustrated making a bow before, it might be because you were using a material that was just difficult to work with. So let's put that one down and go to the next one. Let's move these down so you can kind of see what we've done. This is a piece of raffia, and it's still got a silky feel, so I think I'm going to have the same issue. But I'm going to make my 2 loops. Cross one over the other. Bring this one down and through my opening in the bottom. It is silky and it's getting away from me, so I'm going to grab both loops and both tails and pull till it gets tight. Once it's tight, then I can adjust it by pulling on the tails to make the loops the size I want them. And I've got my tails. Now with bows, you can kind of shape your material. So I'm pulling this down, giving it a tug down so that my so that my tails will hang down. So here's that bow, and kind of here's how it would look on a gift. Again, not the best look for for this type of bow. And that's how this one would look. And I really don't like this one, but that's how that one would look. This just looks kind of like a cross. Now, if you take some jute cord, you can make I think these are the cutest little bows when you're making with jute cord. Again, make 2 loops on both sides. My tails are hanging down. The left loop's going to go over the right loop, over it, and where my finger is, where this finger is, this fifth, where this finger is where the loop is going to, the opening is going to be. So bring it over and bring this through.
grabbing both loops, grabbing both tails. I'm going to pull until it gets tight, and it doesn't want to get tight, but it did. All right, it did. Remember to hold both loops and both tails and pull until that thing gets tight. Now I kind of like both of these loops are pretty even. I kind of like how that looks. And I've seen a lot of people make these little jute cord bows and stick them on a picture frame or on something, and I think it is so cute. So there's your little jute cord bow using the shoestring method. Now this is some of our silk ribbon from Dollar Tree. And let's see if I can do this. This piece might be too short for my fat fingers. Across the top over. And let's see if I can bring it through. I actually lost the opening. Two loops. Got my tails hanging down. Cross over. My finger's peeking through. Let's see if I can bring that loop through. I might need to. Another thing that can frustrate you is starting with a piece of material that's too short. Don't do that. Yeah, that's frustrating me. Let's get a longer piece in this material. That's not fun. Even if you want a small bow, sometimes you got to start with a longer piece of ribbon just so it's something you can grab. If you can't grip it, you can't make your bow. So, loop, loop, cross over, and now my finger's clearly there, and I got enough material to bring it through. Pull, pull, pull. Pull, pull, pull. Seems like it gets tighter easier if I put my fingers in the loops. Come on. There we go. Only getting it tight. Okay. I'm going to turn this piece, twist it around so that the pretty side is facing forward. Now we got both tails. And you see, even though I made my bow, I had to shape it. So there's my bow. And this does not have wire in it, but because it's small, it still holds its shape pretty well. And you can see with this type of material, it's starting to look a little cuter. And now I'm going to take this out because I want to show you the way I learned how to make a bow. I learned how to tie my shoe. Made one loop. When I pull this over, now I can make sure that the pretty side is showing. And then when I bring it through my loop, this is harder to do if you're not good at making bows. But when I bring it through, I folded it again so the pretty side is coming through. I grab hold of it. Now, when I've pulled it through, tighten it up. Everything is showing the front side. Both tails are front, both loops are front, and even your little knot in the middle is showing the front side of the ribbon. So then you would just clip this tail. Well, let's see. Make them a little more even. And then I would clip this tail to be a little more even with the other side. There we have it. Okay, so that's how that one's looking with the 5/8 or 1/2 inch ribbon. Okay, Got 2 more to show, 3 more. Now here's a big piece of rope. Let's see how it looks if we do the rope. Trying to get my tails about the same length. My 2 loops, 1 over, pull 1 through. This is kind of hard to pull. Okay. I don't want to mess up my hand. Okay. So here's, I can't get this one really tight. I don't know if it's my hands or if it's because of the thickness of the cord, but that's how that would look. And that's really nice. It has a nice, pretty nice shape. Making a bow out of your rope. Okay. Here's a piece of burlap ribbon. And again, I started with a really nice long piece. So I wouldn't frustrate myself trying to get it to work. Got my 2 loops, 1 over the other. That opening is there at the bottom. So this one is going to go over and come through that loop. Now, for some reason, this tail flips over when you do this way, and that's been happening, but you couldn't really see it because of how I've been pulling on the ribbon. So here we go. That quickly became a nice bow. And you can keep pulling this tighter and tighter to get this piece smaller in the middle. About all the strength I had. This is a wired ribbon, so it can be flat, or you can open it up the loops. And here you have a nice bow. Now with a silkier piece of ribbon, cute. I'm going to do a nice tail. I'm going to make a loop. It's getting harder to see because the loops are getting bigger. Got 2 loops, 1 over the other one. My finger opening is here. I'm going to try to hold this smoothly and bring it through. Now before I tighten this up, because this is much bigger, I can work with it. So my center knot, I turned that over so you can see the front side. The piece in the back, I've done a little twist so you can see the front side. And now you see the front side on every piece or every part of my bow. And now I'm going to pull it. I'm going to try to pull it tight, but my center is flipping over again. Alright, let's pull this tight. There we go. Now I got my 2 loops about the same size. And this is wired ribbon, so I'm shaping it up. Oops, sorry. And there's my bow. Oops, sorry. There's my bow. Alright, so again you can see using different types of material, you can get a pretty cute bow using most of these types of material. I would go with for the shoestring bow. How many can I get on here that you can see? Alright. So, for the shoestring bow, I would work with a silk ribbon and a any wider ribbon in the silk, the burlap, different types of materials. The rope works out good. Even this smaller silk ribbon works out good. The jute cord ribbon, the jute cord worked out well to make a nice bow. And the raffia, oops, can't see it, it's flipping over on me. The raffia even worked out good for making a bow. This silky packaging ribbon did not work out so well. There we go. Different materials you can use if you want to make a shoestring bow. Okay, slide these over for a minute. Won't be in the way. So I've cut a really long piece of jute cord. I'm going to fold it in half and fold it in half again. So I've got 4 strands to work with. Make my loops. Make sure they're long enough to work with so you don't frustrate yourself. Cross one over and bring all these loops through together. This is where you don't want to frustrate yourself. You want that loop to, that hole that it's coming through, to be big enough to get all those strands through. So I've got all 4 through. Pull it tight so it's very uneven. Pull it side down. There we go. So now, I cut these strands so I would have them hanging at the bottom loosely. You might want to cut them more even than what I did. But here's your bow. It starts to, it has more substance just because you got a few cords working together here. And you could kind of bush them up if you wanted, so they're not laying together. You get some nice little airiness to your loops. And here's your bow. And that's how it looks when you add multiple strands to it. All right. Okay. This side I have the shoestring bow. And again, I like it in every medium except this material again. It's just difficult to work with because it doesn't come together tightly. So that's the gift ribbon material. That's some jute cord. That looks cute. This is the smaller gift ribbon. That held its shape pretty nicely, and you were able to curl the tails. And for all of these tails, you can make them as long or as short as you want it, just by cutting your ribbon or your material shorter or longer. So this is the raffia, and that one turned out well. It held its shape. This is the jute cord. I got 4 pieces together. That one held its shape nicely. This is the silk ribbon from Dollar Tree. That worked well. This is the thick cord or thick rope. It held its shape, but it looks a little wonky. So again, if you like that look, or if you can get it tighter than what I got it, then that would be well. Would work well. It looks pretty good even as it is. And here is a silk ribbon and a burlap ribbon. Excuse my lighting. I'm going to be working on that as we continue the series. But I hope, again, that this is answering some questions for you as we work through this series of why some of your bows worked out or didn't work out in the past. It might have just been the type of material you were using, or it could have been the fact that you didn't cut the piece long enough so you have something to work with. That's very important. Okay? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with others. I'm sure you've got other friends who said they can't make a bow. Let's help them out too. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you'll be notified as I release new videos. Okay. Ooh, we made a lot of bows so far, and we have more to go. All right, I thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll talk with you again real soon.